Welcome to the Anxious Personality podcast with me, Sarah B, from Coaching with Sarah B. And today I'm going to share with you my top 3 tips that you can use anywhere to help you overcome your anxiety. If you are watching this on YouTube, feel free to hit that subscribe button to never miss an episode.
Okay, so I thought this would be a great first episode, something that you can take away, really good, tangible tips and action steps that you can use at any given time, because we all know anxiety can crop up unannounced at any given time during the day, week, month, year. You might have felt that anxiety wasn't a part of your life anymore, then all of a sudden it pops up out of nowhere, completely unexpected, and you don't really know what to do with yourself. It can crop up at work, in the car, just sat in your front room watching Netflix. It could crop up at a social event. It can crop up at literally any place, any time. It doesn't care who you are or what you're doing. And it can be caused by something that's like completely irrelevant to what you're currently doing. So you might be in your car driving to work, but your anxiety might be about a conversation that you had yesterday, or it might be about a meeting that you've got next week, or, it's not relevant to your current drive to work or wherever you're going. So I thought, what a great way to start the very first episode, to give you some real good juicy tips that you can easily implement. Anyone can do this, it doesn't take Albert Einstein to do this. So the first thing that I want you to do when anxiety creeps in is to acknowledge it. So when I say acknowledge it, I don't want you to just sit there and think, yeah, I'm anxious. Okay, now what? Because that's not really going to do anything. I want you to really acknowledge what is going on. And this is not only going to help you in the moment, but it's going to help you moving forward for future potential anxious moments as well. So by acknowledging it, I mean, yes, okay, acknowledge that you are feeling anxious. That's a great start. However, you need to go a little bit deeper than that. You need to acknowledge, how does that feel for you right now? So for some people, anxiety can feel a bit nervous, you might feel a bit sick, like butterflies, you might feel a bit lightheaded. Some people, you might get a tight chest, some people get a headache, your whole body might feel a bit like hot and clammy. It will show up differently for everyone, and it will show up differently as well, depending on the type of anxiety and what the trigger is. So, if it's an anxiety towards relationships, you might find that it shows up in your chest quite tight. So whether that's a conversation that you had with a partner, a relative, a friend, anything relationship-wise that you are triggered by, it could show up in your chest because that's where the heart chakra is. For something that is a little bit more mentally taxing, maybe you're confused about something, and maybe it's something that you're trying to learn and you're really confused and you're not really sure what to do or how to gain clarity on it and things like that, then it might show up as a tension headache because it's more brain taxing. So it will show up differently for different people, but it also may show up differently for you as an individual at different times, depending on what the anxiety is towards. So really acknowledge the emotions that you're feeling. And also, how is that appearing in your body? So like I say, if you are feeling quite nervous or scared, maybe overwhelmed or quite tense, something along those lines, they're quite common ones. It might be that you feel quite emotional when you feel anxious, and you might feel like you need to cry. However, those are emotions, so you need to go a little bit deeper again and figure out, how does this feel in your body right now? Like, do you feel like you're shaking? Do you feel like your hands have gone clammy? Do you feel like you've got a tight chest? How is that showing up for you within your body? And by acknowledging that you're anxious, acknowledging the emotions, and acknowledging how it's showing up for you physically within your body, it's going to help you to recognize exactly what's happening before your mind and body are out of control. And you might sit there and think, yeah, but my anxiety is within my mind. But there's two minds. So we have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, which I'll go into next episode. And it's your conscious mind that creates anxiety. Sometimes, sorry, your subconscious. So your subconscious can be what triggers your anxiety. So like that, like I say, it might not be anything to do with what you're doing right now. It could be something that happened last week, last month. It could be a few years ago, but it's still triggering that anxiety because it's stuck in the subconscious mind. So you need to take charge and be in the driver's seat of your mind and your body. And by acknowledging, that's a new word there for you guys today. By acknowledging your anxiety, acknowledging the emotions, acknowledging how it feels within the body, you can take control. You can be sat back in that driver's seat before your mind and body take over and it snowballs out of control. So the second thing you're going to do after you've acknowledged that you are feeling anxious and how it's showing up for you is breathe. And I know that sounds really, really simple, and it's like I breathe every day, it's second nature, I don't think about it. But that's the whole point. You don't think about it. So by bringing awareness to our breath, it creates a focus. Now, that's how it works on a psychological point of view, that it creates that focus for you to start focusing on your breath and that in and out, that in and out. However, it also can work on a physiological level, so within the body. And when you actually watch children of a young age, probably younger than 6, I would say, they actually breathe through their stomach. You will see their stomach expand and relax. They don't breathe through their chest. Now, you're probably sat there being quite aware of how you're breathing now, and you probably are recognising that your chest is going up and down. And whilst that is breathing and it's normal and it's automatic and it keeps us alive every day, it's not actually our natural state. We are conditioned to breathe that way because of the external stresses of life and the world. And over time, as we grow up and, we sit exams in school, we have these pressures to learn things and get things right, even from a very young age. This is why around 5 and 6 years old, that's where the transition tends to happen from breathing from your stomach to breathe into your chest, because you start getting these external pressures of teachers telling you you've done things wrong, and you've got to make friends, and all these external factors that were never really a thing start to come in. So we start breathing through our chest in a reactive way of that fight or flight, and it's very, very subtle at such a young age. But obviously, as we grow up, that is the way we are conditioning ourselves to breathe on a day-to-day. Now, when you breathe through your chest, it's quite a shallow breath. You're not fully filling your lungs. So when you are quite an anxious person, or you are suffering with a lot of anxiety on a day-to-day basis, and it's quite intense, you might feel like you have a bit of brain fog. You might feel like there's not much clarity. Things don't feel quite clear during the day. And again, that is because of the breathing. So if you're breathing quite shallow, you're not getting a lot of oxygen into the body. This is why the second step is breath. So it brings that focus and stops your mind from whirling out of control, but it also, on a physical and physiological level, helps your body to relax and get out of that snowball effect as well that anxiety can bring. So you're going to focus on expanding the stomach, filling the lungs to the absolute fullest capacity. Really deep short breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth, or in through the nose and out through the nose, but just make sure you're coming in through the nose. Really feel the air coming through the nose and going into the stomach and really expanding it. And then when you come to exhale, really push it out, push all the air out until your stomach is as flat as it possibly can go. And do that at least 3 times, but keep that breath, the focus on your breath in and out through the stomach, because it's going to change your focus from a mindset point of view, but physiologically it's going to slow down your heart rate. It's going to help prevent you from feeling tense and feeling clammy and sweaty, and stopping you from going into that fight or flight response. So that's the first 2 things. So step 1 is acknowledge. Step 2 is breathe. And the third and final step, this is it. It's really simple. It's just 3 steps. The final step is to just change your environment. So I know that might sound easier said than done, depending on the scenario in which anxiety shows up for you. However, at this current moment in time, when anxiety is showing up and you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling nervous, a bit scared, a bit worried about something again that's totally disassociated to where you are right now, you need to change your environment, because at this moment in time, your mind and your body is associating where you are and the situation that you are in to be an anxious one and to be in fight or flight mode. So if you are to change your environment, you are in an environment that is no longer associated with that anxious feeling. So, like I said, this might sound easier said than done, especially if you're driving, if you're in a social setting, things like that. It might sound easier said than done. So I'm going to give you a few examples just to kind of put your mind at ease if and when you are in this situation. So if you are driving, something you can do is pull over, put your hazards on, and just give yourself a minute. Step out of the car if you can, or you can focus on your breathing if you are on the motorway and it's not quite convenient. You can carry on to the next services. Pull over at the next services, focus on your breathing until you get there. Pull over at the next services, step out of the car, change your environment. If you're in a social setting, so say you've gone out for a meal or you're at a house party, you might be in a bar, whatever kind of social situation you're in, you can excuse yourself and just say, I just need to go to the bathroom, I'm just going to get myself a glass of water, I'm just going to go to the bar, I'm just going to step outside for some fresh air. Change the environment that you're in. The social setting one is actually probably one of the easiest ones to change your environment. The hardest part of that is overcoming your own fear of stepping out of that environment, which sounds counterintuitive, really. But if you can really implement this third step, it's really going to stop that anxiety in its tracks. The first and second step, acknowledging and breathing, are great, but this third step really does solidify and stop your anxiety in the tracks, because acknowledgement and breath can control it for a certain amount of time. However, if your mind and your mindset are still in battle with each other, there is that constant fight, and one of them will win at some point. And it's more often than not that the anxious mind will win unless you change your environment. So the next thing you are going to do if you are if you are in a work meeting, that was kind of my third example, because I know work meetings again can be really awkward situations to get yourself out of if anxiety hits. So again, it's about having that confidence to be able to say, excuse me, I just need to go to the bathroom, or, fake a cough. Start coughing and saying, I just need to go and get a drink of water, or just excuse me for a minute, because obviously no one's going to want someone coughing their guts up whilst they're trying to have a meeting and discuss things. So that is always a way. It's just whether you have the confidence and the courage to stand in the way of your anxiety, because that is the only thing that is standing in your way. It's allowing that anxiety to take over instead of taking back control of the situation. Because quite often that's what anxiety is the thought of losing control. You didn't have control of a situation that's been or gone, and now you don't have control of it because there's nothing you can do, and that's how it escalates. So by finally stepping into phase 3 and step 3 of changing your environment, it's going to get you out of your comfort zone a little bit probably, and by having that confidence to change your environment and solidify it and stand up to your own anxiety, really, that is what's going to start moving you forward every time anxiety hits, so you can manage it no matter where you are, what you're doing, or who you're with. So just to recap, step 1 is to acknowledge how you feel and how it shows up for you within the body. Step 2 is to breathe and focus on your breath, making sure you're breathing through your lungs, really filling them and relaxing them. And step 3 is to change your environment, move where you are to somewhere else so that you are stepping out of that current anxious space. If you found this really useful, please give this episode a like, leave a comment, and feel free to follow me on social media at Coaching with Sarah B.